This is All About Home Construction, and here's your hosts, Terry Cannell Beck and Randy Blake.
That's right. Good morning, Randy.
Morning, Terry.
Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday to you
That's
and
right.
everybody out there.
Happy December. It's December, man. It's Christmas time.
It is. Now we can officially have Christmas.
Finally. Yeah, all those people had Christmas music before Thanksgiving. You're just, I don't understand you.
I don't know. Well, Labor Day weekend. After Labor Day stuff started going out. And I'm going, come on now.
Nice. Well, before we get into the rest of the show this morning.
To you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to Mr. Randy Blake.
So much.
That's it, man. Hey.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, happy birthday, man. We appreciate you.
The only thing I've been president of is the home builders.
Well, you're president of the show. I've officially declared you president of All About Home Construction. So, happy birthday. So,
Yep. And sorry I went on the radio for last Saturday for small businesses.
David Jackson came in. We had a great time and talked a lot about small business, and it was always a fun thing. So,
But I took a little man out on the ocean fishing for his first trip at 5 years
woohoo!
old. And he was all excited, and he got
Nice.
into it. And so we made a memory he will never forget.
That's awesome. Good for him, man. You said he got to hold all the fish, and did he actually catch one now?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you said he
Yeah.
did, but nice.
And he just enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
You know,
Well,
so
good.
we've taught a kid how to fish so he can feed his family the rest of his life.
Or be poor when he spends all the money on fishing gear.
Correct.
Little of both, right? No, that's awesome, and that's good. I'm glad you guys had a good family trip and got to celebrate Thanksgiving in that way. That's always fun. So
Yes, it is.
good stuff. Well, did you at least eat a little turkey?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
And a little ham,
All right.
you know, and all the fixes and stuff. So we had a good Thanksgiving.
Nice.
My brother was there, and my nephew was there. They come in from Colorado,
Sweet.
and the Hooker family was there. So,
A big old house full, huh?
yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you had a good time. And, again, all of our listeners out there, I'm glad you guys had a great Thanksgiving as well. And I do appreciate David Jackson for coming on last week. I had quite a good time with him just to kind of talk a little bit about local and small business because, Randy, that's so much what we focus on here on the show.
Yes.
And it's great to be reminded of how that local money, the money spent locally stays locally, and and it's just great. And again, it's the Boone Chamber of Commerce is pushing it. We talk so much about one day of the year, the Small Business Saturday, but they're really pushing, just reminding everyone of the importance of it throughout the holiday season. So,
Correct.
Yeah, it's
and
good.
a lot of small businesses, is hands-on.
Right.
Just like the farmers market, that's hands-on.
right. Well,
And
we have that, and to tie it back into construction, though, when you look around these small businesses, when they're getting renovated or remodeled or even built, it's the local contractors, the local business in terms of construction side of things that's doing the business a lot of times because
Yes,
it's
it
people
is.
they know. And so again, and that's, I guess, was my whole point of spending the money locally. If I purchase, something from a local shop, and then, with next year they have to expand or remodel, and then they go to a local contractor, that money, that $10 of profit that I gave them to buy that shirt or whatever, is now going back into that contractor, which very well could be my next door neighbor. Right,
Yeah.
or the coach of my kids' basketball team, or that business is now speaking of the basketball team, that business is now putting it back in because my kid's playing soccer, and they're sponsoring the soccer league.
well, that's the reason it's important to buy from your local building supplies because that keeps your money in the home.
Exactly.
So it all goes around. The saying, it goes around, comes around.
Yep.
And that's how you protect your area.
That's
So,
it. Well, it's important, but Well, little shocked that you're with us live in the studio because the VFW's got a good breakfast going on today.
Well, yeah, they give me the day off.
I'm glad.
The Scots are there.
Good deal.
They're not in costume, but they're taking care of it. Lisa Marie's there, and I thoroughly enjoy working with these guys.
Nice.
And they care.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. And, I got to give a big shout out to Dave Faulkner. He had the biggest Thanksgiving that he ever had.
Did he really? Good.
35 people came to eat for a Thanksgiving meal that didn't have a place to go.
Awesome. Wow, that's really cool.
And so us at the food account, there's a couple times a year that whatever we got, we feed people.
Right.
Like the Christmas party that's getting ready. Not the big Christmas party for the public, but the Christmas party for the membership. And if we got it, we donate it. Okay?
That's awesome.
So, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, those are days that the food account donates food to have these meals.
Mm-hmm.
And so by coming to our breakfast and coming to our dinners, you help actually us later in the year do
cool.
other functions that we donate food to.
Well, just like we were talking about small business, right? It's about giving back and reaping those rewards, as they come back around. So.
We had a veteran family that was having a hard time, and I said, "Hey guys, come in."
Yep, that's awesome.
And I probably give them, I don't know, probably $120 in food.
That's cool.
I mean, it might not have been what they wanted, but it was food.
Right. Yep.
And but I'm not talking about giving them things that was junk.
Okay? Right.
And so they come in, they brought their whole family in, and we fed them breakfast for free.
That's awesome, man.
And we want to try to. There's people out there in need, so we do try to help people. I know y'all. We've had Taz. It's been a long time since we had Taz on the radio, but Taz does a good job of helping veterans in need.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I'd like to thank everybody that donates money and food to her for what she does.
Yep. Well, we do appreciate that, and again, it's all about helping local, and we think about that so much as we get into the holiday season. We talk about that, but. Well, cool. Well, speaking of local, I do want to, and we just mentioned the VFW breakfast going on until 11 o'clock this morning, and again, go over there and check that out. But you guys will be doing the steak, or not the steak dinner, the prime rib, right?
Yeah,
prime rib this year for Christmas as we get closer to the Christmas holiday.
So we try to limit it to 50 people, and the reason for that is, if we could sell 70 tickets, we'd do 70 tickets.
Right.
Okay. Because you have to buy loins and cook them.
Well, that's the catch with this one, right? Is the tickets because there's so much prep up front.
Correct. And the cost of it, because it's our big blowout meal of the year. So we got and that's the reason we sell tickets. Tickets will be going on sale and they're $50 a person.
Awesome.
But see, like last year when you came, Terry.
Yep.
I'd bought $600 worth of stuff just to prep up,
right,
to make it a little nicer dinner than we have. Breakfast we do on paper plates and not recyclable spoons and forks, but we do disposable wooden spoons and forks.
Yep.
So, we've even gone to our to-go boxes are disposable.
Nice.
We've got away from styrofoam and trying to be economically friendly.
Well, that's always a good thing, and it takes a little bit of everything, right? No one likes to see trash piling up. So,
and I never have. I'm sorry. I believe that plastic is dooming us faster than global warming is.
Man, I get you. But, well, before we take a break here, I will say that we talked before about the wildfires and things. I think this rain, by the way, has put us down into this weekend's rain has put us in the low fire danger for today. But as you look ahead, when you get to the middle of the week, especially towards like next weekend, North Carolina's saying that we're back in the moderate. When you get off the mountain of Wilkes and Caldwell, we're back into the high category. So don't jump up and down too much. It's not going to be quite enough rain to put a long term.
Well, we were
on
our way to the coast. We seen quite a few areas on the side of the highway that had been burnt, and most of the time they're being burnt by somebody throwing a cigarette out.
Yep. Well, when you look at the map right now, there's I guess the closest to us. There's one in McDowell County, on the other side of Lake James from us, and like kind of west of Marion. I think there's actually two pretty close together there, and then there's the one over in Sourtown Mountain. It's the other side of Pilot Mountain. I guess that's Surrey, but I guess that's actually in Stokes County. It's right on the county line.
And
there.
Matter of fact, during the middle of the week, I think they got it down to 80%.
Yeah, it's saying right now that it's 805 acres. It's not telling me right now on the percentage on this map. But I think it is contained a lot. But I actually got to see some smoke from that one Thanksgiving.
Well,
I was over that direction. And
my son-in-law, Paul Hooker, somebody had took a drone picture, and the fire was just across the mountain from his grandpa's farm.
Yeah.
So it wasn't fire. Yes, it's bad, but the thing about it is the repercussions of this fire is going to rejuvenate wildlife.
Exactly, and I'm gonna point to that one, the Sourtown Mountain one, because just next door to it's Pilot Mountain. In what, 2 maybe 3 years ago now, Pilot Mountain burned.
Yeah, and
that next spring, because my parents just live 30 minutes or less from it, and that next spring when we went over and when everything started growing back out. It was hard to see where the big damage was from the fire. I mean, it was obvious it was fire, but it was everything was growing back up, and it's good. And we're a big fan of those chestnut trees, and we know that after a fire, things like chestnut trees try to pop back up best they can, well, until they die from the blight. But
that's true.
Anyway, we'll take a break. We'll come right back right after this. Obviously, by listening to this podcast, you see the value of All About Home Construction. Well, by joining our listener supporter community, you're not just tuning in, you're standing with us as we are able to support and fuel our passions of the construction industry. As a listener supporter, you'll enjoy exclusive perks, including hearing your name, or maybe even your business name, on our show. So please go to our Spotify website. The link will be in the show notes, and join. You can join for as little as $1 one-time fee, $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever you think you can afford. Every single penny helps to keep this show going as we can continue to grow and do lots more things. Thanks a lot. And again, more importantly, thank you for listening to this. That's right, All About Home Construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there, both here on WATA and on our podcast, All About Home Construction, wherever you get podcasts. You missed this last week, Randy. David Jackson and I were talking, and I said, you can just tell your smart speakers like Alexa to play All About Home Construction.
And it will, that fast.
Yeah, well, David's like, you know what? You just got every single person that's listening that has an Alexa going off right now talking to them. So there, sorry about that. But anyway.
And you do not have to have a computer.
No, you don't. Of course, if you do have a computer, everybody likes YouTube. We're on there too, so you can find us. But anyway, let's get into more of the show today. And we love our new and upcoming products on the show, and we talk about sort of how things change, and we're obviously fans of history, and we love the traditional, especially Appalachian rustic, building and building techniques, and we talk a lot about some of the older techniques in the history of building, but we also like our new products as well. And one of the new products that we see that's kind of coming out is some of this is for decking. I mean, and there's tons and tons of new development over the last 15 years or less of changing really what a deck looks like.
Correct. And and a lot of them have failed. Actually, some of the new decking products come out
Right.
late 90s, early 2000s. And, and a lot of the synthetic deckings is all done in the lab.
Yeah.
And they put them through the same tests like windows and doors where they freeze them so long.
Yep.
Then they take them out and they heat them up so long. And so they all have to meet an ASTM standard.
Mm-hmm.
But the point of it is Mother Nature's UV rays is
yeah.
a lot harder than some of these chambers that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So especially synthetic decking boards, they've gone through a lot of changes over the years to make them last long.
Right.
I know everybody remembers the old Trex.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be about an inch and an eighth, inch and a quarter thick.
Yep.
And that was a big one because it was recycled sawdust and resin and stuff like that and put under high pressure. And it worked.
Yep.
But the biggest thing was people didn't follow the directions.
Well, they got it turned that weird color fast. It like discolored, I know, after a few years, and got like fuzzy. I don't know how to describe it.
Well,
it was like it wasn't. It obviously was starting to break down.
It was, and a lot of people didn't clean the leaves off.
Yep.
And one of the things I said about putting it down to manufacturer specification, they did not leave a hole or a gap between the lumber so the water could drain
Yep.
out. So that held it, and that made it swell just like regular wood.
Exactly. Well, Randy, we have a caller on the air. Good morning, caller. Who are we speaking with?
This is the commander of Veterans Foreign Wars, Post 7031.
Poobah.
Happy birthday, Randy.
Oh, thank you, sir. How y'all doing over there?
We're doing good. We just got started serving breakfast about 30 minutes ago, and we've got a few people in here enjoying the grits and some real gravy.
Hey, Dave Faulkner, get your ass out of my kitchen. Thank y'all.
But we just wanted to call and wish you a happy birthday, man.
Thank you, sir.
And good luck on Monday.
Well, I need everything I can get. I'll see y'all over in a little bit.
Hoorah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, and hey, and save some breakfast for us. We appreciate that. So the VFW breakfast obviously going on till 11 o'clock. I don't know why I keep saying 10. 11 o'clock.
Yeah, 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. So you can get you a good brunch. But no, happy birthday, man. Well, when we talk about decking, and really forever, I mean, up and even today, but especially when you look at like. Let's take the big bubble of housing bubble of 2008, right? Everything prior to that, 99% is pressure treated wood. Everything's pressure treated from the ground. Everything that comes out of the ground and from the ground up against the house, everything's pressure treated.
Yeah, up to a certain height.
Yeah, well, yeah. But my point is, like, that was sort of and it still is the norm in a lot of cases in new construction. But that, now we're starting to see these other products. And again, when we go back into that, like, pressure treated is not the same as it was 50 years ago, 20 years ago, and even, 10 years ago.
No, it's not. And that's what, we did the one show about warranty on treated lumber, okay? And one of the things in the research was always make sure if you're going to buy treated lumber, buy the best, okay? Yep. And yes, you have to pay a little more for it, but sometimes to buy a number one versus a number two is not really that much.
Right.
And
well, we talk, we all have experience in different brands and different, methods have different things. But so I just thought, like, okay, how long does pressure treated actually last? And so I looked up in the American International Forest Products, so that, the larger overall group that kind of looks, that monitors all this. They're saying that while, certain poles obviously can stay in for 40 years, but it says decks and flooring may only last 10 years before signs of rot and decay.
And that's because of them changing the formula because of the arsenic that was took out.
I mean, that's it. And when I was a kid, you thought pressure. I mean, the thought anyway, the general consensus was, pressure treated will last forever.
Well,
and we're starting to see that 10 years is not really that long of a time.
Well, there is pressure treated that has been out there since the 40s.
Right.
Okay, and now that's the pressure treated that like the state uses. Telephone poles are made out of stuff like that.
It's got like creosote or something. I don't even know what all they got all in it. But
Well, there was no treated creosote in it at all. In the material that they use. Okay. Now, I guess I was probably 14, 15 years old the first time we ever seen any treated lumber, and it was womanized.
Okay.
And it was a real dark green, and it was soaking wet.
Well, that's what I was going to say. When you cut into it, it's green in the middle still, for that with that coloring. And if you've gotten a new piece of pressure treated, I think you could just about sand the green off.
And so it lasted. And I mean, we've went back and replaced decking on decks and left the floor joists there because the floor joists were still just as solid as the day they put them up.
Right.
And the only reason we had changed the decking out was because it was never stained or sealed or anything over the years, and so the soft parts of the wood had rotted out. Well, from UV rays, not necessarily rot. And so we've just replaced the decking, not the floor joists.
Right.
And now what we're reading is you might have to replace your floor joists in 8 to 10
years. And that's that's not a cheap endeavor, and also that's when it becomes structural. Let's say you don't replace it in 10 years, and you should replace it in 10 years. That's a big risk, and that could really harm you and your family. And the joist breaking and giving out because it's rotting through is even worse than a decking piece that's rotted through.
Correct. And so the industry, when all this mess with the arsenic come down, the industry had to change. Mm-hmm. All right, because of the lawsuits and stuff like that. But it changed for the worse for the consumer.
Right.
But I'm trying to find out. That's what I'm trying to look at. Is I've always wanted to find out how many children have died.
Yeah.
From treated lumber, because I never have heard anything about it. And so, I don't know anybody I ever grew up with died from lead paint.
Right.
Even though it's there.
Yeah. Well, right. So, what are the newer products, though? Let's stick with the joist. If you only got 10 years, then, or you can only count on 10 years at least, then, what can we do to help that and to increase that and to make that even safer?
Well, part of the problem is you put your decking down, you screw it down or you nail it down, okay? Now that's a part of the lumber that can't dry out.
Right.
And so that's a part of the floor joist that stays damp all the time.
Because it doesn't get sunlight.
Correct. And even though, let's say we go through a couple weeks of 80-degree weather, well, now that's drying it out finally. Mm-hmm. But let's say we go through the winter where it stays damp all winter, then it dries out again. That actually creates dry rot underneath the decking board. Yep. So the decking board itself is rotting from the bottom, and the floor joist is rotting from the top.
Yep.
And so now they've come out with a tape they want you to put on your floor joist. And matter of fact, I was going to bring Terry, and I forgot it, the Journal of Light Construction had an article in there about taping all your joists now.
That's pretty cool.
And people in Canada, 20 years ago didn't have treated lumber. Mm-hmm. So what they did was they used a product similar to roofing felt that was an asphalt, and they covered all their floor joists, but they used spruce as floor joists for their decks. So the felt hung over the edges, so as it rained, it shedded it away from the floor joist, so they got away with regular
regular wood held up. That's pretty cool.
And
and so some of these there's a couple different brands, but this tape is just what it sounds like. It's a self-adhering tape that you put down and on the top, right? And so it essentially creates a layer between the joist and the decking board on top.
Correct, to keep the deck the moisture will stay on top of the tape and never reach the floor joist.
Yep.
So that's going to extend the life on that. And then the next thing is, don't use nails on your deck. Use screws.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if that joist or if that decking board starts to rot, you can take it up and replace it.
Right.
And like I said before, when I built that little deck at the house, we've already started replacing boards 8 years later.
Yeah.
Yep. Right. But then I also have a deck on the back that I built 22 years ago that is still fine with treated lumber, but it's 2x material.
Right. Well, this decking tape is kind of interesting because it's kind of a simple answer, really, if you think about it. I mean, you're creating that barrier, and like you said, it's not a large stretch. I mean, when we do the roofing, we put some kind of barrier felt down, and so it kind of makes a lot of sense. But I would imagine, especially when you have some kind of bands and when you've doubled up joists for various reasons, where you got two of them nailed together, they're still not, yes, they're solid in terms of strength. They may, kind of equal one, so to speak, but there's a gap. There's always a place for moisture to get down in between when there's two boards sticking together.
Correct.
So I would imagine that would be a huge advantage, at least if nothing else, to put on those sections.
It is. Well, they have a decking tape that's wider.
Yep.
That will fit two joists, and it's it's you can do it with one person, but it works better with two people.
Sure.
So you got one person rolling the decking tape out, and then the other person that comes behind and lays it down flat.
Yep. So
it laps the same way across.
Right. Well, I mean, it's pretty. It looks pretty simple. I mean, it's a roll of tape. Think of a sticker, in a roll that's a large sticker where you start it in and you pull the bottom sticky, the paper off, and it sticks to everything. And I'd imagine it's pretty strong adhesive.
It is. Matter of fact, it sticks to will stick to wet treated lumber.
So I was going to say, sort of like the Mura-Dry, some of the siding stuff that we've talked about in the last couple of episodes of foundation. I'd imagine it's a lot like that, where once you get it stuck, it's hard to unstick it.
Well, to give you an idea, a single joist tape's 35 cents a foot.
Yeah.
A double joist tape is 50 cents a foot.
Mm-hmm.
Both comes in 50-foot rolls.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, that's my hang up on it, right? Because how much is, okay, let's say you don't put it in. How much what's a budget friendly decking choice?
Treated lumber, that's it.
And how much does that run you in a foot?
I'd have to look up the cost, but the thing about it is, you can't build a deck proper for under $40 a square foot.
Right. But if you're adding 50 cents to every foot, every square foot, it adds up, right?
It does, and it's the price you pay for longevity. And,
well, I mean, yeah, and I guess that's the key,
and that's not talking about using the tape,
right?
And,
well, and I guess I say that like, oh, that's expensive a foot, 50 more cents a foot. But I guess out of $40, if I charge, if you go to the store and you're buying something for $40 and you see it for $40.50, there's not that big of a gap in between the two. So I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense when you look at it in that direction.
Well, it gives you peace of mind.
Yeah, peace of mind. And if it costs you $40 a foot today to build, when you got to redo it in 10 years from now, it's probably going to cost you more than $40 a foot.
Oh, gosh,
and if you can gain more time out of that 50 cents by adding 50 cents now and save yourself $40 in 10 years, that's a pretty good investment. So I get it.
Well, they get like I said, longevity.
Yeah. Well, interesting stuff. We'll take another break. We're going to come right back right after this. Are you looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment you need to get the job done? Look no further than Blue Ridge Sawmills. We offer the full line of Hudson sawmills and sawmilling equipment, from portable sawmills to skidding winches. At Blue Ridge Sawmills, we understand that every project is different, which is why we offer a wide range of sawmilling services. We can help you from everything from finding the right mill for your farm, hobby, or even your business. We also offer a variety of sawmilling supplies such as blades, blades, and debarkers so you can get everything you need in one place. If you're looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment and the service you need, then come to Blue Ridge Sawmills. We're here to help you get the job done. Call or visit our Cana, Virginia store at 276-755-3833 or our Asheboro, North Carolina location at 336-964-8304. That's right, all about home construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there. And happy birthday to Mr. Randy Blake. Happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
So it's nice to be 21 years old.
Oh, yeah, it is.
You know, I'm proud of you. Finally reaching that milestone of your life. But you know, talking a little bit about decking and some decking choices, and it's funny, you know, we didn't even plan this, but as a, you know, on the radio station here, you heard for those listening on the radio, we heard New River Building Supply, one of the local building supplies, and longtime friends of the show. But they just happened to be talking about Trex decking. So there you go. We tied it all in, didn't we?
That's just luck of the draw for them, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And that's doing a decking show.
That's it. And well, you know, as we look at it again, there's so many new products. There's different products and construction methods and things like that. You know, so again, it's the longevity of making it last as long as you can, right? And especially from the get-go when you're building. But this also applies to anyone that's redoing a deck too. I mean, it's correct. You know, again, the tape, for instance, is good for anyone who's redoing the deck. You know, put it on top of the joists, whether you have to replace those joists or not. You're going to get more life out of it. You know, and another thing that we talk about, and we've talked a lot about this on the show in the past, as we've had some friends of the show on. You know, we've had James Combs on talking about pressure treating, pressure washing rather the decks and restaining, and that adds to the life of the deck.
Yes, it does, and you know the stain is more important than painting your deck.
Yeah.
And most people, I really like the color of paint, but the thing about it is the paint will seal up the pores enough that if there's somewhere like it joins the floor joist or the deck band where it can get moisture in, and that moisture finally weaks up up underneath the paint up through the wood itself, because wood is porous. Yeah. It has, you know, it was a living object.
Right. It's a bunch of straws, yeah.
And so the moisture now is behind your paint.
Yeah.
And that's the reason stain's more important.
And we've seen that, and I've seen paint on. There was a box one time that was painted outside. It was a plywood. It had just regular old latex paint out on it. And I noticed that one time, like it was like a water balloon on the side of that box, where the water had gotten inside in between the wood and the paint. And it was like it was a big bubble, and I mean I bet there was 2 or 3 cups of water when I popped it out.
Well,
you know?
We've seen one on Hound Deers that looked like gallon jugs.
Yeah, and
like, that was enamel paint, but the reason for that was the condensation.
Right. Well, that's it. Once water gets in there,
it can't get out.
Yeah, it can't get out, and so that's the advantage, like you said, of stain versus painting a deck. Especially the actual decking, and you know, but even a balusters too. I would argue the same science applies. So doing stuff like that it goes a long way into the life of the deck and just the staining itself. But you really want to clean it good and clean it good before you restain. But keeping that on a schedule. You know, you don't wait 10 years and then do it because it may be too late.
Correct. We, you know, you heard me talk about Trex, you know, leaving a gap in it, and because a lot of decks failed.
Right.
A lot of decks failed because of leaves on them in the winter fall and sitting there all winter. Yeah. But the same thing with your treated decking. You've got to leave a gap. Yeah. So it's able to breathe.
And it expands and contracts too.
Correct.
Right.
You know, we never had any trouble with treated lumber shrinking endwise up to about 2003 and 4, and we got to see a deck shrinking, the board shrinking and pulling the nails out. Yeah. And I don't know if it was a treated how they were treating it,
right,
or because I've never got an answer for it.
Well, I mean, we could speculate a lot on that. Grain of the wood, for instance, being fast grown, things like that. But that's the trick. Again, is to kind of watch it, and you got to allow. I mean, there's certain things you have to allow, and like you said, you want to use screws instead of nails. And I'm gonna probably venture to say it makes a difference in how you screw it or nail it, even in terms of the pattern. I mean, you want to do it correctly. You can't just pop in one little screw every other board. I mean, you got to do a correct pattern with it and whatever that manufacturer says.
Correct. Now this is going to sound a little weird, but we actually have a deck that it's 5/4 decking that we put down. Probably, I don't know, 90, 98, 99, and we only put a third of the amount of screws in it, so it floats on top of our floor joists. And most people don't realize it, and but that deck's still there.
That's cool.
And it's only been we have pressure washed it from time to time.
Right.
And we've only sealed it one time in over 20-some years.
That's pretty cool.
But it moves.
Right.
And when it moves, it actually allows for stuff to dry out under.
Sure. Well, what about some of those hidden fasteners? Like some of the newer products, especially, but there's some various fasteners now, so that you don't see the nails or screws on the top.
There is. There's actually companies out there that have fasteners that you can put in with a hammer. Mm-hmm. And they got spurs on them, so you just knock them in. Then the next joist goes, or necking board goes down, and you jam them in. Right. The only problem with that is you can't ever go back and replace the board. Okay.
Yeah. Once you got to pull one, you pull them all.
Yeah. Yeah. So you might tear up a couple.
Right.
With treated decking, I still prefer the screw method, and because if you got a board that's failing, or let's say somebody has a grill out there and a piece of charcoal falls on the deck and starts burning it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you can actually put it out, but then you can take your screws out and flip your board over.
Right.
And the same thing with the hidden fasteners with some of the Trex decking and stuff. You can actually flip the board over.
Gotcha.
With the newest deckings now, not the old deckings.
Right, they're the ridges on the bottom.
And, no, there's a lot of Trex that don't have ridges on the bottom.
Okay.
So it's the same color on both sides.
Gotcha.
So it's it's reversible. You can flip it over.
Okay, that's good.
And then you brought up an important part right there about laying your treated lumber down. Mm-hmm. You want to lay your heart down.
Okay? Crown up, crown down.
And one reason for that is because UV rays don't separate the lines in the wood.
Yeah.
The grain. Mm-hmm. And if you don't ever pressure wash it, you don't ever seal it, then eventually those will raise.
Yeah.
And I worry more about children barefooted.
Well, that's it. And I will say this is I've done a few, and I wouldn't do them again, but where I've taken my wood floor sander on some decks. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of it's going to cost you a lot because you got to go in and set every single nail deeper.
And we've had people say we would like.
And I've done it a few times. Does it work? Sure,
but does it add anything value to it?
I guess the only thing is it does get rid of some corners and some raised edges, but you're also sanding quite a bit off sometimes, and therefore you're weakening the structure of the lumber. You're making it thinner, and I wouldn't recommend it. Is it good? Is it possible? Sure. Have I done it? Yeah, I have. I needed to make some money, but I don't recommend it.
I just refuse to do it.
Yeah.
I've got asked a lot of times over the years, and if your decking's already deteriorating, let's say it's deteriorating an eighth inch, and now you've got to set that nail down 1/4 of an inch, and then if you've got to take out, let's say, 3/16 of decking, or maybe a little more, you're always going to fight your nail, and every time you hit that nail, you're going to tear a belt.
I know. I've been there, done that, and it was I charged accordingly. I will say, It was not a cheap, and that was in my younger days. I don't think I would do that now if I was still doing wood floors. I just think it's.
Well, what did they probably gain?
Yeah.
Another 5 years.
Well, it was, but it looked good when I was done. I promise you that.
Oh, I guess so.
and I guess that I don't know, but I'm with you. It for what it cost and what you gain, just pressure wash it and redo it or replace it if it's that bad. So I'm gonna take another break. We'll come right back right after this. Obviously, by listening to this podcast, you see the value of All About Home Construction. Well, by joining our listener supporter community, you're not just tuning in, you're standing with us as we are able to support and fuel our passions of the construction industry. As a listener supporter, you'll enjoy exclusive perks, including hearing your name, or maybe even your business name, on our show. So please go to our Spotify website. The link will be in the show notes, and join. You can join for as little as $1 one-time fee, $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever you think you can afford. Every single penny helps to keep this show going as we can continue to grow and do lots more things. Thanks a lot. And again, more importantly, thank you for listening to this. That's right. All About Home Construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there, both here on WATA and all those on the podcast. We really appreciate all of you. So
get your Alexis.
That's it. Tell Alexis, hey, play All About Home Construction, and she'll take care of it for you. But
that fast.
That she will. She will.
Just say Randy and Terry, or Terry and Randy, All About Home Construction, because I did did home construction. Somebody else.
Nice. Okay. All About Home Construction with Randy Blake.
Oh, you got to have Terry too.
I'm here, but it's your birthday. You're the president as of this morning. You're the president of All About Home Construction this week. So, all right. In the last couple minutes here, I do have a question. So we see, all right, so many places here in the high country when we have a large deck, we have space underneath, and sometimes we have another deck underneath, even, or some kind of porch setup underneath. We don't like to get wet. So what about some of those systems that drain, that keeps the water from going down to the net to below?
Well, there's quite a few systems out there. And, believe it or not, Trex has the best.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And now we have, over the years, we have taken our metal that we sell, and we actually turned it upside down, and we put a 1x3/4 board.
Right.
Back against the house. Then we come out midways, and then we put a 1-inch board,
mm-hmm.
and then we come all the way out and put an 1.5-inch board on the end.
So it works back.
So we have a drainage on it.
Yeah.
Okay. The only problem with that is it works great. All right, but it will condensate and drip water on you. Matter of fact, we sold the metal for the Gamekeeper about 6 years ago,
mm-hmm.
and that's what they did on theirs, so that they could have people, waiting on their dinner because they had a roof over their deck. They didn't get a lot of water, but they did, get some water that wind would blow in. And we also did it on a house where we made it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It worked great, drained all the water. But we're there again with the metal. I didn't take into consideration was the condensation.
Right. And that's the key.
And so there's a lot of systems out there that are vinyl systems that don't condensate.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a company out there that actually has a system that you have to install it above, that sits on top of your floor joist, so it does what the tape is supposed to do when you install it.
Mm-hmm.
But then they have a channel system that goes underneath, like these gas stations. You look up and got the panel there,
yep.
But it's a vinyl panel that catches the condensation, so it doesn't rain down on you with underneath.
Now, I've seen people where they use the like that PVC roofing. Is that a do-it-yourself kind of shortcut?
Yeah. And
but I guess, again, there you have to worry about condensation. I mean, regardless of what you do, condensation.
Condensation is the biggest one.
But I would imagine if you have stuff like that tape we're talking about earlier, I would imagine you could take that same principle and do it in the underneath. I mean, you're still going to have some condensation, but
not a lot.
It'll help eliminate it.
If you cover it up with a vinyl soffit, let's say you put a vented soffit on one end, a vented soffit on the other, and you use solid soffit, in between it to cover it up. That's the same principle as that other company, but that will allow some air to come in to help dry the condensation out.
Right.
And so it's actually doable.
Okay.
From a homeowner, and it'd be great if a person had some 20 mil plastic out there. Then he can start on one end and just
work its way
out and have dips in it, to catch the water and stuff.
I've seen that actually once. So, well, thanks again for the great show. Don't forget about All About Home Construction on the podcast, and also don't forget that the VFW breakfast going on right now. That breakfast going on until 11 o'clock. Go check it out. It's good stuff. So,
and don't forget about our Christmas tickets, too.
That's it. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to our podcast, All About Home Construction. Our show airs live on WATA Radio in Boone, North Carolina, every Saturday morning. Check out our Facebook page, All About Home Construction. Leave your tips and comments there. Also, subscribe, like, and share this with a friend.